मैं सिर्फ इतना जानता हूँ तुझे हारना नहीं आता।
Is there anything that you are not telling me?
बाहर सब सैन के लिए लड़ रहे हैं, मेरे लिए मैं अकेली लड़ रही हूँ।
Almost a decade ago, this gentleman made his sort of acting debut in Meri Bhabhi, which was a very successful Star Plus show. And now he's one of the lead characters in Scoop on Netflix, or one of the most important characters on Scoop on Netflix. So, a warm welcome to Ravish Desai. Thank you so much, Ravish, for joining us on Filme Shilmy.
Hi, Anuj. Thank you so much for having me here.
Look, I really absolutely, I've seen a few episodes of Scoop, and I think your character Bhavesh, a lawyer, is actually a breath of fresh air, I think, to the narrative, because he seems to be that champion that is helping the lead to really fight through this lengthy battle that she's facing. So for you, when you were given the brief of playing the lawyer, what was said to you by the director Hansal Mehta?
Well, I think it was very clear that I did not have to play it like a lawyer. I had to make sure that I had a personal connect, with Jagrati Pathak, and it was extremely personal for me. It was nothing about like a lawyer and a client sort of a relationship. It was very personal. It had to be very personal. It was as if somebody in my family was going through a setback in life. And I had to, as you said, that Bhavesh comes out like a very breath of fresh air. So he's the one who's always supported Jagrati Pathak throughout her journey, throughout all those times that she's been in jail, and sort of motivates her every time that she feels low. She feels that everyone's conspiring against her. So I think yes, Bhavesh. Most important brief that I had was it had to be very personal for me too. Everything that she was facing, I had to feel all of that.
Right. Now, obviously, the series is based on Jigna Vora's case, which happened in 2011, and
That's right.
it was a case that I think shook the journalism industry, where an innocent woman was locked up for a murder she never committed. So I think for you, when it comes to playing a realistic character, because I think this perhaps is arguably your first time where you are playing a real life character. So how much influence did reality have, I think, on your performance per se? Did you have to meet the actual lawyer too?
No, I did not have to meet the actual lawyer, but what I did was for my own research, I went through, I went through the book that Jigna Vora wrote, behind bars from Byculla jail. So I went through that book, and of course, I had the entire script. I had assistants on set, directors' assistants who were there to help me with whatever kind of research I wanted. There was like a research team on set too. So in case I had any questions, entire team was always available, and we were not actually asked to follow the actual characters in terms of their persona, in terms of how they speak. It was more about how we looked at the characters, but because it was based on true events, we had to make sure that everything that we played was realistic in terms of the character, in terms of the relationships, interpersonal relationships we had. So the team was always there to guide us as and when we needed. And of course, I had my own research. I went through the book. I thoroughly read the script so many times just to understand, how she was framed, and how would Bhavesh's part inspire her or motivate her and get her out of everything that she's going through.
Right. For you, I guess because you had that brief where it wasn't supposed to be very lawyer-like, do you think that that's what really helped you to maintain that realism aspect and that authenticity of how the court system really works in India?
Oh, yeah, I think, see, when you add emotions to a character, in terms of when you connect to a character, it becomes more realistic for you. Because that's how human beings are. That's what we are. As people, we connect with each other. We feel sad when somebody is not going through a great time in life. So I think these emotions really helped me to play the character and connect more and more with Jagrati Pathak. Especially because she's gone through so much in her personal life, while she was just trying to get ahead in her job, trying to do the best that she could, support a family, support a child, being a single mother. So I think these little things really bring out emotions when you connect with characters, as compared to somebody who just has to make it a very very client sort of a relationship, lawyer client sort of a relationship, where there aren't many emotions involved. So I mean, where there are no emotions involved, I don't think there can ever be a connect, because there were so many emotions involved, because it was like a personal setback for me as well. It really helped me to connect with Jagriti Pathak, as her friend, as a lawyer, as her confidant.
Mhm. And I think one thing that I like about this in particular is that, often whenever I've seen a lot of Hindi content, whenever it comes to something like this, or, where it's like a lawyer or a client or any of that nature, where it's almost on a business level, the male and female always end up having some sort of a love angle. And I've always found it very problematic as to why that is. I mean, I'm sure they could just coexist, without, I mean, of course, being
Yeah.
friends, or even just not even being without anything, and I think this is quite refreshing to see, like, a sort of camaraderie that they share without it having a tag per se, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a man and a woman can always be great friends, while both of them can have their individual partners, but they can always be great friends. They can always share a great chemistry as friends, as people, as as someone who you can who can be your confidant, someone you can share your personal life with. So I think it's just I think it's got to do with maybe the way we are all brought up, and the kind of cinema that we've always seen. It's always like ladka ladki kabhi dost nahi ho sakte.
I know, right?
That's how. So I think it's just inside our head. It's got nothing to do with how it is. But I think times are changing. People look at opposite sex relationships just as friends, and you can hang out together. You can do so many things together, apart from being like in a real sort of a relationship.
Exactly. And I think, Ravish, one thing that I like about the stuff that you've done on in TV and films and web is that a lot of the characters, I feel, they're not your typical machismo roles. And it's
Yeah.
interesting because I had an interview with Jay Soni recently, and we spoke again about the sort of characters that he's done over his careers, and they've never really been the typical hero, the one who's trying to defend the honor of the woman or trying to, like, be the big man. And I think that's something which I really like about you as well. There seem to have been a bit of a compassion and empathy in all your characters. I mean, even, on the phone when we were chatting, we were speaking about She and the character you played in that as well on Netflix last year. Uh, so do you think it's been a conscious decision on your part of you getting these very empathetic male characters, or do you think that's just because, you perhaps look a certain way and perhaps that's what's attracting makers with you with such scripts?
Um, um, yeah, I mean, the look really matters. The look really matters. It's not just how you play a character, but you have to, in a certain way, you have to look that character too. You have to look that part too. So I mean, that could be the first thing that attracts. But I also feel that as a person, there's a lot you put into any character that you play. It has to have a lot of yourself in it. You can't play a character otherwise. For any actor, for any character that you take in, you have to have a lot of yourself in it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not to boast about it, but yeah, I am kind of compassionate as a human being. I practice that. I practice kindness and all these things. So it somewhere, when I talk to people, or even when I audition for similar parts, that something comes out.
Hmm.
So that is something. It's been interesting. It's been interesting. I've actually been wanting to do different kind of roles, but yeah, I mean, the compassion ones just keep coming to me.
But I think one thing that I'm very fascinated by, I mentioned this as well to you earlier, is about how the, sort of women that have been a bit infamous and up to a bit of menace. If we think about it, like we had Gangubai recently, then we had Ma Anand Sheila, and now obviously
Yeah.
Jigna Vora's case. it's interesting how they all have a Gujarati connection. And I was I never realized this, and I was like, wow, I mean, this is bizarre. I mean, look, I know it's a bit of a hypothetical question, really, but why do you think that, I mean, do you think it's just a coincidence that they are just Gujarati and they unfortunately have been caught up in such circumstances, or do you think it could be a much deep-rooted thing that we as a community perhaps need to address as well?
As I mentioned the other day as well while we were chatting, I think it's just the way we're all brought up, maybe, is the environment that we've been brought up into. And we don't yet we do not see women having, those kind of spaces in life. Women, not acceptable that women are so ambitious in life. And, a woman can go out there and do what she wants to, what she feels like doing. So it's really got something to do with the mindset that we have, which really needs to change. And we need to be more acceptable about a man and a woman being completely equal in all facets of life. I mean, you cannot say that, okay, a boy can do something and the girl cannot do that. I mean, that sort of comparison doesn't work in today's times. Women we see are more outgoing, are more outspoken today in terms of, their rights about what they feel. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's great. I think that's exactly what brings a nation, above every single other nation that does not support women power. So it's extremely important that we start accepting it. Yes, it is. We're into that formation where things are happening, things are changing, where parents have become consciously more aware, as you said, about mental health and mental illness, and everything that's happening inside a person's mind. We've become consciously more aware thanks to social media in that aspect. Because we started being so much aware of things that are happening, we started accepting that every person has their own individual choice about what they wish to do in life. And that is something that is just, that person's choice. As a parent, as a guardian, it is my responsibility to guide them, give them a platform of opportunities where they can showcase whatever they wish to do. And that is something so important. That is happening now. The change is coming. But as you said, with all these characters that you mentioned, I think the most of them are, I wouldn't say ambitious in a derogatory term, but, they all had dreams. They all had aspirations. They all wanted to move forward in life, maybe just leave their own legacy.
Yeah.
As far as Jigna Vora is concerned, she was a single mother. If you just go through, if you read the problems that she's faced in life, there were times that she had no money. Luckily she had good friends to support her, but she had absolutely no money. Now, even if a person is not completely aspirational, or is not, is not somebody who dreams big in life, but these are necessities in life that you have to go through. So if I have a child, if I'm a single mother, if I have a child at home, I have to take care of, of his schooling, of his, of the way I bring him up, etc., etc. So many things. You need money for that. So I think these characters that you mentioned, yes, they were aspirational. Yes, they had their own dreams. They wanted to become something in life, leave their own legacy. But at the same time, they all had their priorities. They all had things to take care of at home. They did not have a male member at home who would sit and take care of those things.
Yeah.
So it's commendable the way Jigna Vora has fought her battle, and yeah, all hats off to her.
I was watching Jigna's interview, and she says that her experience learned that the media can really make or break someone, and I think that's what she faced in her career too. But I think, look, I want to talk a bit more about the Gujarati representation, because I mean, I'm a very proud Gujarati, and I love to see our culture coming to the forefront in mainstream. In fact, after તમારો character નું નામ જે છે ભાવેશ, ઈ તમે પહેલા
Bhavesh.
film કરી હતી, I think was Sab Zindagi કરીને,
Yeah.
was
Gujarati
Bhavesh in
film
that
હતી.
as well.
Yeah.
So તમને શું લાગે, like, what is your view on the way perhaps Gujarati culture has been presented currently in the mainstream front of cinema?
No, I think જે રીતે ગુજરાતી representation થઈ રહ્યું છે, I think it's wonderful. it's wonderful in a way that, initially Gujaratis were only looked at as baniyas, as businessmen. Nothing apart from that. They build their own business. They have their women get married, take care of of the house. Men go out, take care of the business, and that's about it. I think we are coming on to times where, as I said, that છોકરીઓને વધારે opportunities છે. છોકરીઓને વધારે opportunities મળી રહી છે કારણ કે પેરેન્ટ્સ એને સપોર્ટ કરી રહ્યા છે. અગર પેરેન્ટ્સ ન સપોર્ટ કરે તો it is very difficult for a child to actually bloom and go out there and fight their own battles.
Yeah.
So I think and of course Gujarati is one of the biggest communities. We've from villages in India, we've gone all the way to the United States. So globally Gujaratis are spread out. Globally Gujaratis are doing so well in life. You're a Gujarati as well. So I mean, it's wonderful. I mean, as they say that if you want to learn how to do business, you learn it from a Gujarati, you learn it from a Baniya. So I think it's great in terms of, it's not just the Gujarati community. Of course, we're doing really well in life, in terms of where we were and where we are today. How our mindsets have changed, actually. Not only, the Gharelu mindsets, it's gone beyond. It's gone beyond that. It's made every single Gujarati, quite independent enough to go out there and create their own identity, not think too much about how people are going to look at you and, talk about it. So I think I'm a proud Gujarati too.
Yeah, man, definitely. It's wonderful. I think also, looking at your career as an actor as well. I mean, the fact that you began with such a humble show and now you've worked with some of the biggest filmmakers. I mean, you've worked with Imtiaz Ali for She, I think Zoya Akhtar and Reema Kapoor for Made in Heaven. Now Hansal Mehta for Scoop. I mean, it's quite fascinating, isn't it? How literally even not even a lead role, but yet an effective role can help you to actually add those names to your sort of CV and your profile. So Ravish, how does it feel actually to kind of be in that position and say that, what, these are some of the filmmakers I've worked with, and how do you think that's also impacted your craft as an actor as well?
Oh, to begin with, I had when I started off, this is almost 15 years back. We didn't have much OTT opportunities back then. I didn't know any of these filmmakers, apart from seeing their films. I really didn't know any of these filmmakers. It was gradually when I started watching a lot of these filmmakers and, and their kind of work, I got really fascinated to work with them. But, as I said, that I do not come from a filmy background. I do not come from a filmy family. So for me, it was, everything that I've done has been on my own. It's been my own struggle. It's been my own lonely nights. It's been my own times where I've gone out there, learned things all by myself. I do not come from a film school. I haven't so to say graduated from a film school, but I think everything that I've learned has been on set. TV has been my most important phase up till now. Everything that I've learned has been on TV. And I was extremely fortunate. I found really good actors around me on TV, right from 2013, Meri Bhavi, till date, how much ever, television that I've done. I've always had really good actors around. So
Right.
I've had the opportunity to learn so much. Now, coming on to these filmmakers, sorry, I actually missed out on your question there.
Yeah, no, go for So I was just talking about how working with these directors especially have impacted your craft as an actor.
Yeah. So as I said that, most of my learning has happened on TV. Most of my learning has happened on set. And as far as working with these directors is because I'm so fascinated with true stories, with realism, and being part of such sort of stories and such sort of films and series. Hansal Mehta was always on top of my list, but my initial experience that came on was with Nitya Mehra on Made in Heaven.
Yes.
So that was quite fascinating because, that was like my first opportunity on a very big set, an Excel set. And I was just coming out of TV. And, the fascinating thing about television actors is you get used to working in a certain way. You're not used to a director coming in and whispering in your ears and telling you, okay, this is what I'm looking at. Let's try it this way. Let's try this performance this way. On TV, it's usually from far away. You have a director sitting on the monitor with a mic, and he or she is giving you instructions right from there. So
Yeah.
it was very different when I was, when I was doing Made in Heaven, and it was so beautiful. I mean, I absolutely love Nitya Mehra in so many ways. She's such a soft spoken. She's such an amazing director to work with, and that was like my first big experience, and that was extremely fascinating for me, because it's just the way the actor is treated with so much respect, with so much care. Actors can be really fragile, especially on a very big set. So it's so important for a director to just come to you. And I was really pampered there, because she'd come, she'd just whisper in my ear, she'd tell me, let's try this, let's try that. And that's how that whole fascination about working with such directors really got inside of me. And that's when then when She Season 2 happened, and Imtiaz sir was the showrunner on that, and I just did not want to miss out on that opportunity. When I was on his set too, everything was so real, and you're just thrown into the ring. You're given an opportunity to do what you feel the character would do. And then with the magician Hansal sir as well, Hansal Mehta. I mean, I absolutely love him. He's so calm, he's so cool, and if he needs something else, he'll come and he'll tell you quietly. But the most beautiful thing about Hansal Mehta was, he gave me the liberty to see the character the way I saw it.
Yeah.
Our first reading session, I remember, where Karishma was also there, and we all had to read our parts. And after that, the only thing Hansal sir said, that now you've read the script, you know the lines. Now, when you come on set, I don't want you to refer to the script. I do not want you to think about anything. Just portray it the way you would feel the character would. Use whatever language you feel comfortable, that the character would use. Then just forget about everything else. I remember there was one instance where I had a scene with Karishma. It was a long scene. It was a 5-page scene, and we're just talking, about what's happening outside. And after the first take, one of the assistants came to me and started telling me that so we, as actors, we need to follow continuity in terms of where our hand was, how the bag was held, and etc., etc. So he came and he told me that. So your hand was here, when you were taking these lines. And Hansal sir got really angry. He just came, he just moved the assistant away, saying that, do not disturb my actors in any way. That was so amazing. That was so amazing. Like, nobody's going to, even remember the continuity when they're looking right in the eyes of the character. I think that is phenomenal. That is so amazing. That unfortunately doesn't happen on TV. On TV, you need to follow certain things. But I mean, this was commendable. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, beautiful experience. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's quite ironic how literally you've worked with these four filmmakers for contents which is very unique for them and challenging for them, because you would never ever see Imtiaz Ali ever doing a She, right? Because that's more
exactly.
his not his forte. He's more into the romantic and the really human dramas. But one thing that I must say though, and I told Karishma this industry is extremely cutthroat. Often people talk about, I mean, I'm not going to use the N word of Bollywood, but I feel like a lot of the times where it's about the cliques, and sometimes if you're not belonging to a certain group, you suffer a lot. But do you kind of think that OTT has really become a savior for actors like yourself? Because I feel like it's not about the opportunities being there; it's about people not giving you the opportunities.
Well, yes. I mean, with so many OTT platforms available, so much of content wanting to be made, such good filmmakers coming on the OTT platform, and putting their stories around. I think a lot of actors have got like really good opportunities. The kind of opportunities you would want to be part of. Basically, and also. When something is made on an OTT, it's not per se a very main lead sort of driven. Even the primary supporting characters will have their story to put across. So you'll be able to see the story from every single character's perspective, and that is what you want to. You can go out there and you can play as if you're the hero, and it'll absolutely be justified. So that is what gives you a little level ahead in terms of being a part of such filmmakers' stories and such great directors. And coming on to your other question about maybe not being given certain kind of opportunities because we do not belong to film families, and we do not come from influential filmmakers and their families. I still believe that that is quite subjective, because each one of us has their own journey to fulfill, and an actor is just one scene away from getting that bigger opportunity. Because filmmakers are looking for actors. Filmmakers on OTT, you need actors. You don't just need faces. On OTT, you need actors. And in today's times, when there's so much of awareness, our people, in terms of our viewers, have changed. Viewers want more and more of content. Viewers want more and more of realistic faces. Our kind of viewership has changed over time. It's not just about entertainment. It's not just about dancing. It's not just about a person coming from a certain family. They want to see talent. They want to see great performances, because there's so much that we connect to with global cinema. Because of that, people want to see those kind of performances being made in India. So I think that that whole thing, there is a huge shift now. There are so many actors around. There are so many actors who do not come from filmy backgrounds, do not come from those kind of influential families, but they're doing really well, because those kind of opportunities are out there. Filmmakers want those kind of talent. Filmmakers want those kind of actors. So I think there is a shift happening in terms of the whole thing about the N word and opportunities which are around for actors.
Because I feel like the external pressures can be so extreme sometimes. You have to keep yourself strong. So what would you say has kept you strong all this time, Ravish?
Oh, I think what's kept me strong is the fact that I don't look too far in life. As a person, I don't look too far. I don't keep telling myself or reminding myself that in the next 5 years or 10 years, this is where I want to be. I don't keep telling myself that I want to be the biggest star in the next 5 years. I don't do that, because there are a lot of things that are not in your control. You got to focus upon things that are in your control. You got to focus upon things that are that you can manage, and you have to start living life one day at a time. You have to keep working hard. I remember I'd read one of the famous actors mention this, that this is a lifetime profession. Acting is not something that happens in 5 years or 10 years. This is a lifetime profession. You grow every single day. You understand performances every single day. Today, if I give a certain certain performance that I feel that it was really good, if I look at that performance 5 years down the line, because I must have grown as a person, as a human being, mentally, emotionally, when I look back at my current performance, I'm gonna question that as well. So this is not something that can happen in the next 5 years, 10 years. This is, I have accepted the fact that this is a profession I have chosen. And when you choose a profession, you have to work around all the setbacks that come, all the external pressures. I feel a lot of pressure sometimes, because I am not very social as a person. I'm not extremely outgoing. I'm not an extrovert. I do not go to parties. I keep hearing a lot of people say that you have to go to parties to make a connection. You have to do this, you have to do that. I don't do that, because, those are my limitations as a human being. I do not connect with people that I don't know. I cannot manipulate. I cannot go out there and fake out my emotions. I have to be connected from within. So right. And of course, everybody has their own way of looking at things. I'm not saying somebody is wrong if they manipulate. It's just that that's the path that they've chosen to live. That's the path that they've chosen to live. As far as the profession is concerned. I don't put a finger at these people to say that they are wrong in any way. They have their own struggles. They have their own ways to justify what they're doing, but that's not who I am. And I don't look too far in a profession, as you said, with so much of cutthroat, competition around. You cannot keep saying that, this is where I'm going to be in the next 5 years. This is where I'm going to. Yes, you can work hard towards that, but you cannot put conditions. You cannot put, pressures on yourself saying that, if I don't get there, then I'm not going to do this, because that's not how things work.
Right.
You have to take one day at a time. You have to be more focused internally. You have to give in, a lot to yourself. And the only reason that justifies that is because you have chosen to be a part of this profession. Because you love it, because you're so passionate about it, because you want to be a part of, beautiful stories that are being told, because you want to inspire people. So I think the most important thing for me, what keeps me going every day, I'm not saying that, pressures don't come onto me, but it's just that it's always a conscious effort, to live one day at a time, not think too far, not think too much about what others are doing and compare my life or my journey with anybody else. So I think that's something that has always worked for me.
Right. Well, I think that effort is being seen and accepted very loudly and clearly. And I think, Ravish, it's so wonderful to see you do great work. And I'm quite impressed by your performance in Scoop from this few episodes I've seen. And I think
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to hear more about the Scoop on Scoop of what people think of it. So I think it'll be
Yeah.
great to see what the audiences think. But look, thank you so much for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It's been so wonderful to have you. And I can't wait to catch up with you super soon.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever you're here. Thank you so much for having me. And
What a pleasure.
lots of love to everyone. Thank you for always appreciating the kind of work that I've done here.